Right now, across Australia, there are highly paid C-level executives making these million-dollar company-defining decisions based on data that is, well, it's already 2 weeks old.
Oh, absolutely. It's the absolute definition of operational muddy waters.
Right. Why does that happen? Because the supposedly sleek digital engine running their business isn't, actually an engine at all.
No, it's usually just digital duct tape.
Exactly. It's like 50 disconnected Excel spreadsheets and a handful of off-the-shelf subscriptions that absolutely refuse to talk to each other.
And the most frustrating part is that the executives staring at those outdated dashboards, they often don't even realize how much friction their own teams are fighting through just to generate those numbers.
Yeah, that is so true. Well, welcome, everyone. I want to extend a huge welcome to all the followers of the C9 podcast and business page tuning in today.
We are so glad to have you with us.
If you are an Australian business owner, a CTO, or a C-level executive, this deep dive is engineered entirely for you. I am Lex, your host for today.
And I am Vera. We are absolutely thrilled to welcome you to this deep dive from the C9 podcast show.
So our mission today is highly specific. We're taking a really comprehensive, eye-opening report titled 29 Custom Software Success Stories, and we are extracting the absolute most vital insights from it.
It's a fantastic document, really.
It really is. We are going to explore exactly how tailored web applications and custom software are helping Australian businesses, completely eliminate the daily friction of legacy systems.
And more importantly, we're going to look at how they are securing a massive, sustainable competitive advantage by doing exactly that.
Because the reality of the Australian business landscape right now is that companies are losing millions annually. And it doesn't always from catastrophic server crashes or a massive cyber attack.
It's from 1,000 tiny cuts.
Right. Outdated legacy systems, clunky off-the-shelf software, manual administrative workarounds, all those things that quietly inflate your operating costs day by day.
And they just erode your market position, while you're busy trying to fix spreadsheets.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because before we get into the actual success stories, the really big triumphs in this report, we really need to establish the baseline.
Yeah, we have to talk about the pain that is holding so many executives back right now.
Exactly. And it almost always starts with the temptation of off-the-shelf software. I mean, buying generic enterprise software is essentially like buying a prefab house.
Oh, that's a really interesting way to look at it.
Yeah, so you buy this prefab house, and then you try to forcefully jam your unique growing family into it. You're knocking out walls, trying to make the space work.
And eventually the walls are going to crack.
Exactly. The walls crack because it wasn't built for you. But I have to push back on this premise for a second. Because the conventional wisdom, right, the pitch every executive gets, is that off-the-shelf software is supposedly cheaper and faster to implement.
What's fascinating here is that despite all that daily friction, executives are still lured in by that exact illusion of cost savings.
Because the upfront sticker price is low.
Right. The initial license looks great on a budget proposal, but that completely ignores the compounding hidden costs of human labor. I mean, think about it. If your new off-the-shelf inventory system cannot speak to your legacy accounting software, how does the data actually move?
I mean, someone have to manually type it out.
Exactly. You are paying a human being or, an entire team of human beings to act as a manual bridge between two pieces of software.
Wow, yeah, that's incredibly inefficient.
We are talking about dozens of hours of manual data entry every single week. And when your staff is bogged down in that, your growth targets start slipping. You literally cannot scale because doubling your output means doubling your administrative headcount.
But wait, what about the safety aspect? Because people say off-the-shelf is a safer bet since it's already tested by thousands of other companies. Isn't custom software inherently riskier?
Well, if we evaluate it purely on a 30-day timeline, maybe. But enterprise software isn't a 30-day investment, and the source material highlights this beautifully by pointing to the unique regulatory environment you operate in.
Ah, right. The Australian context.
Precisely. In the Australian context, relying on fragmented spreadsheets or generic, internationally built tools isn't just inefficient, it is a massive security vulnerability. Australian businesses operate under the strict compliance of the Privacy Act 1988 and the Australian Privacy Principles, the APPs.
Which are no joke to deal with.
Not at all. Now, think about how data moves in an off-the-shelf ecosystem. A generic tool might be hosted on servers in a jurisdiction that just doesn't respect Australian data sovereignty laws.
Oh, that's a terrifying thought for a CTO.
Or worse, because the generic tool doesn't do exactly what your team needs, they just, export the data into an Excel file and email it to each other.
Creating a complete shadow IT environment.
Yes, exactly. If your business relies on scattered data silos and downloaded spreadsheets to function, you don't have a cohesive security perimeter, you have a sieve.
Anyone could have anything on their local drive.
Right. You cannot track who downloaded what or where that USB drive ended up. So that supposedly cheaper off-the-shelf software can very easily result in a devastating compliance breach.
Okay, that makes total sense. But theoretical pain is one thing. The report gives an incredibly tangible example of this exact chaos, and honestly, it highlights what is probably the worst-kept secret in the corporate world.
That almost everything is secretly running on spreadsheets.
Yes. The deep dive sources detail a case study for PubTek, which is built for third-place hospitality. Now, this is a massive national pub operator, and they were relying almost entirely on disparate Excel spreadsheets to run their operations.
It's so much more common than people think. Spreadsheets just become the default crutch when core systems fail.
But let's think about the mechanics of how that actually fails. Imagine a really busy Friday night service across multiple pub locations. You've got inventory depleting, payroll hours ticking up, sales data rolling in.
And all of that data is just sitting in static, isolated spreadsheets on different managers' laptops?
Right. How is centralized, fact-based leadership even possible in that scenario? By the time someone manually consolidates those dozen files and sends them to the C-suite, the data is like a week old.
You aren't managing the business, you're doing an autopsy on last week's performance.
Exactly. An autopsy, so how do they fix it?
Well, that is exactly the operational bottleneck C9 stepped in to solve. But what is critical here is their approach. They didn't just throw generic code at the problem or sell them another off-the-shelf dashboard tool.
Because that would just be putting a Band-Aid on a broken leg.
Right. They started with collaborative discovery. Before writing a single line of code, they sat down and mapped out the exact key performance indicators, the specific KPIs, that actually drove profitability for those specific pub operators.
So they diagnosed the disease before they prescribed the medicine.
Precisely. And once they understood the workflow, they did the technical heavy lifting. They built an interactive .NET Core web application backed by a really robust SQL Server database.
And for the non-technical listeners, why is the database part so crucial?
Well, to understand why that matters, we have to look at how data is structured. A spreadsheet is flat. It's easy to overwrite, easy to break, and honestly, only one person can really use it at a time.
We've all seen that file is locked for editing error.
Exactly. But a SQL Server database is relational. Think of it like a highly secure, multi-lane highway. Dozens of pub managers can enter data at the exact same second from across the country, and the system instantly organizes, relates, and secures it without anyone crashing into each other.
Which completely eliminates that consolidation lag we were talking about.
Exactly. It creates a single source of truth. With real-time dashboards and automated reporting, stakeholders could suddenly access up-to-date insights on demand.
Meaning they could actually spot a trend on a Friday night and course correct by Saturday morning.
Yes, and that level of agility is what drove sustained, scalable profitability across their national operations.
That concept of a single source of truth is so powerful. But what I find really compelling is how that exact same mechanism translates from, a localized business like a pub to an entire industry scale.
Oh, you're talking about the agriculture case study.
Yes, the sources detail the work Sinai did for Avocados Australia with their Avo data platform. And when you think about it, the avocado supply chain is uniquely difficult to manage.
It's an incredibly complex logistical web.
Right, because you are dealing with highly perishable goods, massive fluctuations in yield based on weather, and really strict export compliance standards.
And just like the pubs, they were actively being hindered by fragmented data. I mean, when an entire agricultural sector cannot accurately track, report, and forecast its yield because different farms and distributors are using different legacy tracking methods, the whole sector suffers.
It's just a recipe for disaster.
It really is. You end up with logistical bottlenecks, ruined produce sitting on docks, and massive missed export opportunities.
So C9 essentially does for the national avocado industry what they did for the pub operator. But on a macro level, they redeveloped the aging legacy platform into a modern, centralized web solution.
Yes. They built a relational database that could handle the sheer complexity of the entire supply chain. It gave the sector this much-needed industry-wide visibility.
So everyone is finally on the same page.
Exactly. Growers, distributors, and exporters were finally looking at the exact same data in real time. It completely streamlined their compliance processes and drastically improved data accuracy for international exports.
Which just proves that a well-architected custom web application isn't just an internal tool, right? It can completely change the trajectory of an entire industry.
Absolutely. When you remove the operational drag of bad technology, scalable growth just naturally accelerates.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. Because as much as I love a perfectly optimized pub service or a seamless avocado export, at the end of the day, a lagging spreadsheet in those sectors just means lost revenue.
Right, it's a financial pain.
But what happens when integration failures literally impact human health and safety? Let's talk about the healthcare sector case studies in the report. Specifically, Monash Health and Health.
Oh, the stakes here are infinitely higher. We are moving from operational efficiency to critical patient care.
And frankly, it is one of the most frustrating realities in modern business.
Yeah.
We have, like, artificial intelligence diagnosing diseases right now, but hospitals are still bogged down by inefficient fax handling. Faxes in the 2020s.
I know, it sounds almost unbelievable, doesn't it?
It really does. But what really stood out to me in this report is that this specific healthcare client had a prior failed project with another IT vendor, which naturally makes you wonder, if a previous vendor completely burned you on a custom build, why on earth would you double down?
It's a fair question to ask.
Why not just retreat to whatever generic, out-of-the-box hospital management system you can find just to avoid another disaster?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the answer is that generic systems simply cannot handle the nonlinear, highly specialized logic of medical triage.
How do you mean?
Well, off-the-shelf software generally assumes a linear workflow. Step A leads to step B, which leads to step C. But medical triage is incredibly dynamic.
Wait, emergencies happen.
Exactly. A patient's priority status updates constantly based on incoming lab results, sudden deterioration, or maybe the sudden availability of a specialist. A generic system physically cannot handle that multi-directional logic without breaking down.
So retreating to a generic system isn't actually a safety net.
Not at all. When you retreat to off-the-shelf after a failure in healthcare, you're just trading a fiery disaster for a slow, agonizing crawl that actively puts patients at risk.
Wow. So C9 is brought in to rescue this underperforming failed system. How do they actually fix that technically without disrupting a live, functioning hospital?
The technical architecture required for that is incredibly complex. C9 had to build highly secure middleware. Yeah, you can think of middleware as the central nervous system of the hospital's IT infrastructure. It sits between different applications and ensures they can actually communicate. And crucially, this middleware had to seamlessly handle complex HL7 messages.
Okay, for those of us not living and breathing health tech, what exactly is HL7?
Oh, sure. HL7 is essentially the universal translator for healthcare data. An MRI machine speaks a different digital language than a billing system, which speaks a different language than the electronic health record system.
Oh, I see. So it's translating all these different dialects in real time.
Exactly. C9 built the middleware to translate and route all that data instantly. And they also had to build dynamic permission structures. Because in a hospital, privacy is paramount.
Right. You can't just have patient files open to anyone.
Exactly. You need the system to ensure that an orthopedic surgeon only sees the data relevant to their specific patient at the exact right time without exposing the entire hospital database.
All while maintaining that strict APP privacy compliance we discussed earlier.
Yes. And the outcome there was transformative. It wasn't just a prettier user interface. It resulted in significantly faster specialist assignments.
Which is huge for patient care.
Absolutely. It drastically reduced the administrative burden of handling those faxes, and most importantly, it improved patient outcomes. Because when the technology finally gets out of the way, healthcare professionals can actually focus on healthcare.
That kind of instantaneous, secure data routing literally saves lives in a hospital. But that exact same mechanism, real-time tracking and dynamic permissions, is just as critical outside the emergency room.
You're thinking of the education sector now, right?
Yes. That brings us to the education sector case study, One School Global. Because here, again, the stakes are deeply personal. They were struggling with massive logistical blind spots in their national transport management.
Right.
Basically, they didn't know exactly where their school buses were at any given moment.
Which is a logistical headache for school administrators, sure, but it is an absolute source of panic for parents.
100%.
I mean, if a bus is delayed by traffic or rerouted due to an accident and the school doesn't have real-time visibility to update the parents, that is a severe failure of the duty of care.
And a generic routing software isn't going to solve the communication gap between the driver, the school, and the parent. So C9 built a custom web platform.
And what did that look like for them?
Well, they integrated live in-vehicle tracking directly with parent-facing mobile applications. So suddenly, there is real-time syncing across campuses and directly to parents' phones.
And in this context, real-time syncing isn't just about saving fuel or optimizing routes. It is fundamentally about child safety.
Right, it's about peace of mind.
It gives parents immediate peace of mind and gives the school total control and visibility over their logistics. And honestly, this level of versatility is what makes C9's portfolio so compelling.
It really is vast. When you look at the report, it covers so much ground.
It is. Whether they are building advanced 3D medical education software like the Storm Road SaaS platform, or engineering highly secure peer-to-peer lending platforms with complex payment workflows like ULend.
The applications are just endlessly varied.
They are, but the underlying principle never changes. Deeply understand the specific, complex problem, and then build a secure, scalable architecture to solve it.
So what does this all mean? We've looked at pubs, avocados, hospitals, school buses, and financial platforms. For the C-suite executive or the CTO listening to this right now, the evidence of success is incredibly clear. Custom software solves the problems that off-the-shelf software creates.
It really does.
But there is a massive elephant in the room that we have to address. The fear of the IT black hole.
Ah, the graveyard of enterprise software.
Exactly. Every executive has a horror story or knows someone who does about a custom software project that was supposed to take, say, 6 months, but ended up taking 2 years, cost triple the initial budget, and delivered half the features.
It's a very common nightmare in the industry.
And on top of that, there's the fear of technical debt. Custom software sounds great until you realize it requires ongoing maintenance. So how does C9 consistently deliver these massive results without becoming just another bloated, endless tech project that drains the budget?
Well, that fear is entirely justified. Enterprise software projects fail when they start with good intentions, but absolutely no discipline.
Discipline being the key word there.
Exactly. C9 bypasses this trap because they explicitly design their solutions to align with executive expectations from day one. They know that a CTO or a business owner isn't looking to fund a never-ending science project, right?
They want ROI.
Yes. They are looking for positive financial returns within a rapid 6 to 12-month window.
But 6 to 12 months is a very aggressive timeline for custom development. How do they guarantee that without cutting corners on security or quality?
By rigorously enforcing a proven 5-step development process. It leaves absolutely no room for ambiguity or scope creep.
Okay, walk us through the steps.
Sure. Step 1 is scoping. This is intense and collaborative. They map the exact pain points and requirements before a single line of code is ever written.
But everyone knows exactly what's being built.
Right. Then step 2 is approval. This ensures everyone from the development team to the C-suite is locked into the exact same vision. Step 3 is agile development.
Meaning they aren't just disappearing into a cave for 6 months.
Exactly. It involves regular feedback loops so the client is never in the dark, wondering what they're actually paying for. Step 4 is testing, which is rigorous quality assurance. And step 5 is acceptance and go live.
It sounds simple when you list it out like that, but the discipline to stick to that framework, to be able to say no to sudden mid-project feature requests, is what prevents that IT black hole.
Exactly. And this raises an important question. Who are you actually doing business with when you sign off on a major technology investment? You aren't just buying lines of code, you know.
You're entering a relationship.
You're entering into a strategic, long-term partnership. And this is why C9 stands out and really mitigates that fear of technical debt. They are deeply rooted locally. They are a Brisbane-based company with national reach and impressive government accreditations.
Which matters immensely for compliance.
It does. When you're dealing with Australian data privacy laws, local market nuances, and the need for ongoing reliable support, having a local partner is a massive advantage over offshoring your development to the lowest bidder.
You want to be able to pick up the phone and speak to someone in your time zone. You want a partner you can actually look in the eye.
You do. And from a technical standpoint, C9 brings a really unique philosophy. They are absolute experts in .NET, modern web frameworks, and complex SQL database integrations. But they remain stubbornly technology agnostic.
Wait, let's clarify that, because technology agnostic sounds a bit like a buzzword. How can you be an expert in something, but also agnostic?
It means they don't treat every business problem like a nail just because all they sell are hammers.
Ah, I love that.
Yeah, a lot of development agencies will force your business into a specific software stack like WordPress or a specific CRM simply because it's the only language their developers know.
Which brings us back to the prefab house analogy.
Right. C9 evaluates your specific business problem first, and then they select the precise coding language and architecture that solves it best. It ensures the resulting platform is tailored perfectly to your actual needs, rather than just serving the vendor's convenience.
That is a massive distinction. And it really changes the way you view technology expenditures. I mean, custom web applications and tailored software are not just IT expenses to be minimized on a spreadsheet.
No, not at all.
They aren't liabilities. They are strategic investments. When they are architected correctly, like the 29 case studies we've explored today, they deliver compounding returns.
Absolutely.
They eliminate the soul-crushing double entry, they break down data silos, and they unlock a level of scalable, secure growth that generic software just physically cannot support.
They transform technology from a daily grinding frustration into your absolute sharpest competitive edge.
Which brings us to the most important part of this deep dive. If you are listening to this right now, and you recognize the pain of legacy systems in your own organization, if your team is constantly building workarounds just to get through the day, it is time to take action.
It really is.
If you are ready to modernize your operations and secure that massive competitive advantage, you need to partner with C9, Australia's leading custom software, apps, integration, and database developer company. Do not wait for your legacy systems to crack under the pressure of scale.
It's just not worth the risk.
I highly encourage you to visit www.c9.com.au right now. You can schedule a no-obligation discovery session and start mapping out a tailored, high ROI roadmap for your business. Again, that is www.c9.com.au.
And while you are thinking about that next step in mapping out your own digital transformation, please take a moment to click that follow button on whatever platform you are listening on right now.
Yes, definitely hit follow.
And if you found these insights valuable, share this deep dive with other business owners, CTOs, and peers in your network who could really benefit from this knowledge. The more we elevate the conversation around strategic, custom technology, the better Australian businesses can compete on the global stage.
We have covered a massive amount of ground today. From the compounding hidden costs of cheap software to the high-stakes, real-time reality of digital healthcare and logistics.
You really have. And I want to leave you with one final lingering question to ponder as you look at your own operational dashboards today.
Let's hear it.
If your biggest competitor launched a perfectly tailored digital platform tomorrow, one that completely eliminated all the manual friction, the data silos, and the inefficiencies you currently tolerate, how long would your current off-the-shelf system realistically keep you in the race?